See, this episode to me felt like real Star Wars. We got a Force user, we got lightsaber back. It just feels good. Let's start off because we got a lot to talk about. So Omega follows after Batcher, who hears a noise in the cavern. She walks in, finds a ship. Long story short, out walks Asajj Ventress, back from the dead. It's super confusing. We still don't really have an answer, but there are a few things that she mentioned near the end that we can talk about. Now, for those who don't know, I'm going to be explaining who Asajj Ventress is in just a minute. The Bad Batch see Asajj holding Omega, they get all protective, and she tells them that Fennec sent her. Now, how she found their location, I have no idea, but she is Asajj Ventress. She is a very renowned Force user on both sides of the Force, light and dark, and she is a bounty hunter, so she has connections, she can figure stuff out. She is literally like the most elite being, essentially, with all of these accolades. Now, I'm going to be making videos on who Asajj is, so make sure to tune into those this week. Basically, she's a very, very powerful Force user who was the apprentice of Count Dooku at one point during the Clone Wars. Before that, she was also a Jedi. She was a separatist, and she's the one who gave Anakin his eye scar. Now, originally she died. She was supposed to be dead, like she isn't supposed to be alive here. Quinlan Vos went undercover, who was another Jedi, ends up falling in love with Asajj Ventress, and she falls in love with him. Count Dooku tries to kill Quinlan, shoots Force lightning at him, and Asajj jumps in the middle of it, killing her. So how she's returned, I'm not really sure. Anyways, Asajj tells them that M-count means Midichlorians, and we finally get the famous word Midichlorians. I'm glad that they're not shying away from it, if that's what they're doing. She says those who have it are more capable of wielding the Force. She says it doesn't mean that you're a Jedi, but it means you could develop abilities if you are trained properly. She mentions how Kaminoans made millions of clones, so it is possible that one clone would become Force sensitive out of millions of them. Now, this is accurate with lore, as Starkiller had to be cloned over and over and over again for him to finally be made properly without any issues. There was that scene in particular in Force Unleashed 2 where there were many different clones of Starkiller to be made that just were defective. Some had psychosis, some didn't even have the Force, some were absolutely insane, others couldn't be controlled properly until finally you get one that actually works. Omega asks Asajj to be tested, so Asajj gives her some training to see her level of focus and aptitude of the Force. And it's nice to actually see someone train. The boys find out who she is, and they don't trust her. They realize that she is a separatist, and they become very weary of trusting her with Omega. So, Asajj, overhearing all of this with her abilities, tells Omega to get a blossom from a tree at the top of the mountain. And still no fat mace. I'm starting to want my money back here. I think she did this on purpose to get Omega out of there, so that she could fight the Bad Batch. She calls them out, and they aim at her when she uses the Force to pull their blasters. So they fight, she literally destroys them all at once, and it just shows how she outclasses them all, even catching Hunter's knife thrown at her in the air. They get their blasters back thanks to Crosshair, and they start firing, and she just dodges them. Now, if you're wondering how she does this, it's because of that line Qui-Gon says to Shmi during The Phantom Menace. She has Jedi reflexes. Her Force-attuned reflexes allow her to sense the trigger being pulled before it actually happens, and to anticipate where the blast would be. Much like how Qui-Gon explained this to Anakin's mom about his Jedi reflexes during the pod race scene, or just before it.
You must have Jedi reflexes if you race pods. Don't do that again.
She ignites her yellow lightsaber and handles them all. As Omega shows up, she tells them times have changed and that she's not who she once was, and that they are all pawns in the same war, or that they were, played by someone controlling both sides. She warns them of the Empire and assures them that she's not their enemy. Omega tells them people can change and that she believes Asajj. Now, I know a lot of people might roll their eyes at this, but this is literally the entire point of Star Wars, that people can always change. And this is very true in life. No matter what you've done, you can always change. It's never too late. Look at Vader. Up until the moment before he became a Force ghost, he changed. And this, of course, starts with how Anakin turned back into Anakin from Darth Vader. Anyways, they go out to sea, and Asajj tells Omega that many with the Force have an affinity for nature, so they can reach out to animals. We saw this portrayed in Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, with Anakin against the Reek in the Genosian arena. Now, some have this power more than others. Some can do it just a little bit, while others can full-on control massive giant beasts. Anakin was extremely powerful in this ability of beast control. Asajj instructs Omega to reach out over the ocean, and we get the Yoda-Luke scene where Omega fails, she's impatient, and tells her this is pointless, it doesn't work, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. So Asajj steps up, demonstrates, calls all the sea creatures that are glowing, including a massive sea monster. They fight a little bit, they get capsized, Asajj slices off one of its tentacles, and the creature is about to eat her when she uses the Force to commune with it, using beast control to let it know that it's not in any danger and that she is not an enemy. The creature feels her thoughts and energy and abides, letting her go. They all get back to Asajj's ship in the cavern, and Omega asks if she has a high M count. And I laughed really hard at the scene during the watch party because she just says, well, based on what I've seen, no. And it's just, no empathy whatsoever. And she doesn't know why the Empire wants her. Of course she's lying, and we find out why. Let me explain. Of course this doesn't make any sense. Omega is a major target of the Empire. She does have a high M count, or an M count that connects with M count blood or Palpatine's midichlorians or whatever it might be. So clearly something is up. So she kind of just tells Omega that no, you don't, and so Omega walks away with Wrecker. Hunter and Crosshair don't buy it. They call her bluff and say that she's lying. She tells them that she needs to be trained. Omega has to be trained. And if she is, that she will have to leave the Bad Batch, leave her brothers. Of course they say no, and she says really, if you truly care about her, you will let her get trained and the training that she needs because the Empire is after her. Crosshair asks what side she's on, and she says her own. This of course is a very Asajj thing to say, as she's been a Jedi, she's been a Darksider, I can't really call her a Sith, and she's also been a bounty hunter. She follows her own values, dances to her own tune, and this is very much Qui-Gon Jinn. Not to say Qui-Gon would go to the dark side, he never would, but he did not believe blindly the ideals of the Jedi. Despite being a Jedi Master, he was not on the Council because he just didn't believe in their ideals. He felt they were too enthralled with politics. Crosshair asks, aren't you afraid of the Empire? And she says, no, I've still got a few lives left. Now, this is essentially like trying to explain how she survived and kind of nodding at the fact that, hey, yeah, the whole audience thought, or at least, people who read Dark Disciple, thought that she is dead. She is long gone. And to this I say, yeah, look, it really does undermine her really poetic death in the book. But at this point, we don't really have too many really cool female Star Wars Force users, and I think Asajj really takes the cake. She is pretty much on par with Darth Talon, I feel like. She is up there. She's done it all, she's seen it all, she's extremely powerful, she's fought Anakin, she's the one who gave Anakin his scar. She goes way back, and this is a historic character that I really think has a lot of gravitas that can be added to Star Wars, not just the show, but going forwards in the future with live action, in the Ahsoka show even. So this, of course, is a big nod to how she is supposed to be dead in the book, where she was electrocuted by Dooku, and this means that we could see her and Quinlan Vos together once again, which would be really, I just think, it would be a nice moment. It would be a nice romantic moment between the two. It would be interesting to see two Force users that would be otherwise unlikely to be together to actually be together and to show emotion towards one another. I have high hopes that Quinlan Vos will return either in this show, another show, the Ahsoka show, or in Jedi Fallen Order 3. As we know, Asajj Ventress is a Dathomirian. She is a Night Sister at the end of the day. And we're kind of leading there with Ahsoka and, of course, with Merrin in Jedi Survivor. So there's a lot that's probably going to come out of Asajj returning. I don't think this is the end for her. I don't think it's just a one-off cameo. I think she's probably going to be a major character going forwards, not just in the show, but maybe her own spin-off show or something to do with live action and maybe even the Dave Filoni movie. Personally, I am all for it because I don't really like Rey. I think Ahsoka is cool, but we need more awesome female characters that have the Force and are a little bit of a badass. I don't think Sabine is a very compelling character. I certainly don't like Reva's character. So really that only leaves Ahsoka. And now that we have Asajj Ventress, I'm pretty happy because she is a very complex and interesting character to learn about. And she's not so goody two-shoes, so she will do things a little more not by the book, which, of course, leads for more interesting storytelling and action. I have a lot to say about where the show will go from here, and of course Asajj Ventress in Star Wars, so stay tuned for those videos that will come out later this week. Hope you have a fantastic day. Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed my thoughts and the breakdown, and thanks so much for your time today. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, remember the Force will be with you always.